Hello, friend. So I just had this question posed to me. What is the science of differentiation, and what does it really mean? What does the science of differentiation really mean? So I want to just walk you through some of the elements so that you can really grasp how deep this information goes. So when we look at the body graph, at the very, surface level of this information, the surface level gives us our type, our strategy, and our authority. So the type really is your overarching role of this lifetime. So are you a builder? Are you an advisor? Are you an innovator? Are you an evaluator? Those are like overarching roles in this lifetime. And then we have our strategy. So each one of us has an electromagnetic field that encompasses our physical bodies. And that electromagnetic field has a strategy attached to it. How do we interact with the other person? That's the strategy. Remember, we're in the big game. So what's your strategy when we're playing this big game? And that really is the electromagnetic field. So are you designed to respond? Are you designed to inform? Are you designed to wait a lunar cycle before you make an assessment? Are you designed to wait for an invitation before you advise? So there's all of these strategies that happen, okay, through those types. And then we have the tactic. So the tactic really is your inner authority. How am I designed to then decide when the strategy is interacting with someone and it's correct? How do I decide inside of myself if that decision is right for me or not? And that's really your tactic in this whole game. How can I declutter this mind up here so that while I am interacting with people, I'm making the correct decisions? So this is really surface level information, okay? In the 9-centered body graph, that's really the surface. Then we get a little deeper. So we look at the 4 transformations. The 4 transformations start here. So we have the design sun earth. This indicates the primary health system. Primary health system is all about how do I intake the nourishment for my brain and body. This is not about diet, okay? There is a whole aspect about diet, and I'll pop into it after we talk about this. So this nourishment of the physical body, how do I nourish it? So that I can digest correctly, strengthen the body, strengthen the mind, so that the decisions that are being made through my inner authority, which resides within your meat suit, how can those decisions be made from a place of strength, nourishment, and love? Then we have the environment. Where is this environment that's best suited for your body? So that's indicated in the environment piece. So you look at the design. So the design has all the aspects of the physical body, okay? We're not even going to get into the magic square because, again, that goes along with the 4 transformations. So when we're looking at that transformational piece, how do we go from here and then transform into this exotic being that we are meant to be? So once we've nourished the body, once the body's in the correct environment, all of a sudden we can then see. We can have a perspective that's designed just for us. It's designed just for us. We each have our own perspective of this story matrix that's going on. But if the body isn't being nourished properly and we're in the wrong environment and the body itself isn't healthy, it's difficult for that body to then have an inner authority and have that inner authority be listened to. It always has an inner authority, but have it be listened to, honored, and trusted. So then what happens is the perspective then gets muddied. It's like looking through lenses that have mud on them. And the perspective is almost hijacked. Okay, it's almost hijacked. We see a lot of this happening in our world, that hijacking of the perception. And that happens because it's like, hey, it should be this way and not this way. It should be that way and not this way. And we have all these, and we're built this way, where it's okay for us all to have our own perspective, but is it the correct perspective? That's the clue here, okay? So the transformations happen because the physical body's well, okay? Step 1, step 2, step 3. And then we can be motivated correctly. The mind, the healthy psychology, which is here in the personality, the healthy psychology can then present itself. It can be, brought out in your purpose. So if we look at the sun earth on both sides, this represents 70% of our whole design. Okay, why? It's the sun, it's the earth. The sun is where we're getting our neutrino feed from, and the earth, well, she's kind of coddling us and allowing us to inhabit on her skin. So 70% of who we are is right here, and we call this the incarnation cross or your Lifework Beam. Now, the Lifework Beam can present itself in a way that's correct through the transformational energy. So step 1, body's being nourished properly. Step 2, in the correct environment, so that the physical body itself is strong. Okay, the physical body can be strong. And then we get to see what we're meant to see, and we are motivated correctly to then enter into our purpose. So purpose is up here, and then we have our storyline that happens in the nodes. The storyline is really the stage that we're on. Who are we meant to bump into? Okay? So those 4 transformational steps happen through what we call color. Okay? The color that happens under the line. So you have a gate, you have a line, and then you have a color. So the transformations happen through those colors. But we need to take it one step farther. The tone in the triangle, okay, the tone gives you the understanding of these variables, these arrows. And the tone really is the architecture of the awareness. It's the architecture of the awareness. So are you built to be strategic? Are you built to be receptive? Are you built to be passive? Are you built to be focused? So do you have a right brain body up here, left brain body, right brain body, or sorry, left environment, right environment, left perspective, right perspective, or do you have a right motivation or a left motivation? Now, I'm not going to get into all of that, but what are your variables? This is the architecture of your awareness. Okay, then another layer, here's another layer. We also have the base. So the base is here, and this base is where our neutrino feed comes in. And the personality base is something that we continue to have throughout every incarnation, okay? And through every incarnation, we have this same base. For me, it's called space. So my neutrino feed is coming through there. My neutrino feed is coming through this base as well. So there's this neutrino feed coming into my being and my awareness. That neutrino feed is providing me with all kinds of information. So the neutrino comes in the base. It goes through the architecture of the tone to bring me an awareness. And then it is put through the color to help me transform. And then it goes up to the line, out the gate, and it is presented in the differentiated life. The differentiated life is nothing that anybody else is having. It's not about doing what she's doing, being what she's being, chasing after her dream. It's about me standing in the flow and accepting my place in the flow. And when I accept my place in the flow, I can discover who I am. And through discovering who I am, I hold my higher knowing. And the I is not the mind. The I is not the passenger. Personality is our passenger. It's here to just watch, be the psychology, decode it all, see it, be motivated, so that the purpose can then be utilized through us. The storyline, we know who we're, meant to bump into, what stage we're supposed to be on in this lifetime. And we do all of this by starting on the surface. Strategy and authority. What's your strategy and what's your tactic? And then from there, we can work backwards. And then the base can come forward, and we can work backwards, and the base can come forward. So it's all about these transformations and awareness, so that the differentiated aspect of God can be expressed through your meat suit. That's what differentiation is. This is a science. It's very, very, very deep. Now, as I had said up here, the primary health system is about how to intake nutrition to nourish the physical body and the brain, so that the strength of that inner authority can be present and forefront for every decision, instead of the default of the conditioned mind. There is what we call biology. There's a biology piece that takes place. This is a DNA. This is your DNA. This is your RNA. This is the chemistry of your particular unique differentiated self. And there's a biology piece that was created with Ra and a naturopath. His name is Martin Grassinger, and a biologist, Andrea Reichel-Wolf. And they created this biology piece to say, okay, well, actually, there's good foods for your particular DNA that you can intake. This isn't about a diet. It's not what this is about. This is about the biology and the food that you can intake in order for the strength of your being to then be presented. And knowing that information is a game changer, because it can help you nurture and nourish the physical body. Something that's been really fun for me to experiment with is I did do my 23andMe. I got my DNA results through there. And they also have this understanding your macros, like how are you best built to eat? If it's meat, if it's carbohydrates, so proteins, carbohydrates, and of course, plant-based. What interested me is that when I got that information, human design was actually even more accurate and more in-depth than that information. So I just want you to just understand that there's layers and layers and layers and layers. But in order to differentiate, we have to start on the surface. The conditioned mind cannot be running the show. If the conditioned mind is running the show, then none of this transformation and none of the awareness architecture can really be present. It's there, it's all there, but it can't be decoded because the cluttering of the mind, that conditioned mind, that cluttering, that resistance, that takes precedent over any of this awareness or any of the transformation. So something that was posed to me was, what is the science of differentiation really mean? So that's what differentiation is. It's about actually seeing that there's layers and knowing that there's a transformational part, knowing that there's an awareness piece, knowing that, there is healthy foods for you to intake so that you can strengthen that body. There's layers and layers and layers, and it all comes down to you being a differentiated, unique being, and letting, like literally getting the F out of the way and letting the expression of this design flow through your meat suit. All right. Thank you, friend. Have a good day.